My name's Adrienne Padani, and I started the organization Fresh and Local. And I moved to Bombay 4 years ago. My dad's from Bombay, but I was born and brought up in the US. And 4 years ago, I knew I wanted to come live in Bombay for a little bit and just, I don't know, see if I could survive in the city without dad around. So I came back, and I think immediately what struck me was just the difference in eating habits and the difference in going to the grocery store, going to the market, and the difference in the quality of food that I was seeing in the city compared to Washington, D.C., and then previously compared to other places in the U.S. I'd lived. And so I was just really, I felt that the quality wasn't the same, and I felt like I also couldn't figure out where the food was coming from. And the idea was to just start growing some of my own food at home. And that's how everything started. I was staying with a friend, and she has a balcony, and we got 3 potted plants. We had lemongrass, mint, and oregano, and that's how it started. So we just knew we wanted to grow something at home for ourselves. And from that point, everything just kind of spiraled and got bigger and bigger. And as I started researching and trying to learn more and connect with more people who were already growing their own food on a small and large scale, it became really obvious there were huge areas to be filled regarding urban farming. And the idea was to start a group that would try to address some of the needs that were present. So when we started, we were just in the proof of concept stage. We just wanted to really show people that urban farming was a good idea and that it was possible in Bombay. And so a lot of our projects were just small-scale home herb gardens, small kitchen gardens, and then we got one community site, which was at the Bombay Hub, and that's kind of where everything got a lot bigger, because now we were in a central place where people could come and see what we were doing, and that exchange could start. So that's how we got our start. Now, 3 years later, we call ourselves an organization working to facilitate urban farming in Mumbai. And we look at developing the best practices for city growing and the best practices to get people started as soon as possible. So, to get you started immediately. And we work on setting up private gardens for people, and also on building community gardens with different purposes, whether they're more medicinal, more ornamental, and just to get people outside and building community together, or whether they're full-fledged food-growing gardens. And we are specifically interested in what we call underutilized urban spaces. So looking at balconies, terraces, window grills, and then most importantly, rooftops. And so everything we're doing is really specific to an urban context and to a really dense urban context.
Right.
So we have done projects inland, but that's not really our primary focus. Our focus is trying this idea of taking back parts of the city that are there, finding all these spaces that still exist and turning them into food-growing places. And if we don't grow food, at least doing something that's positive and that teaches people the skills that they would need to grow their own food. So looking at growing ornamental plants, growing air filtering plants. So we're also looking at removing the pollution from the air, so at least you have a nice outdoor space to enjoy.
I see.
So that's kind of the
broad picture
of what we do. So we kind of have structured ourselves in that we have 2 components. We have more of our nonprofit community work, and then we have more of our for-profit work with private clients or with communities but who still want private gardens.
Right.
So in that way, we have 2 ongoing projects that are community-based. One is Flyover Farm, which is on the rooftop of a building on Muhammad Ali Road. And that one is a rooftop garden being built with the building residents, but also the deal is that they haven't paid for the project. It was all fundraised, and so in exchange for them getting the produce, we're also allowed to have it as an open garden. So every Sunday, anybody can come, work with us, learn from what we're doing, and then take what we're doing there and replicate it somewhere else. So while the food is for one community, it's open to anybody. The second project is Pop-Up Garden, and what we did there is we worked with 30 women that are part of the NGO SNEHA, the Society for Nutrition, Education and Health Action. And we wanted to look at this idea of creating safe public spaces for women through gardening. And working with the women, we had them design what they would want in a space. And so we had our first site was actually at the SNEHA office in Santa Cruz West. And the women go to the SNEHA office for different services like yoga class, health checkups, there's a singing class. So it's kind of community building stuff. They're going there already. And the idea was, would they like a garden space there? And if it was there, would they go use it, and how would they use it? So when we put this question out, we had about 30 women come to the designing process, and over 2 workshops we designed the garden with them, and then over 2 days we built the garden. And so now there's this great garden space for them to use, and they are using it, and there's a whole group that's now taking care of it. I mean, we don't do anything to take care of it. And in exchange, what we've done is we've put that design on our website, and the idea is that now anyone can use that design, that workshop, because everything they came up with is something that someone else would relate to. And that's our idea, is that anytime we address a problem or an issue or come up with an idea, usually it's something that can be replicated, and the issues that we're facing, you would face in another site. So by doing it, putting it up online, it lets people see it and then replicate. On the for-profit side, we work with different clients to do home kitchen gardens. We work with a restaurant in South Mumbai, developing some land that they have to grow food and supply it to the restaurant. We have some other clients who are interested in larger scale farming projects, community projects in Alibag, so we work there. And then our most recent project that we did, which kind of straddles this community garden, but it was on the for-profit side, was we did the garden for Breach Candy Club. So we built a community garden there in again, an unused space that they had that was walled in, that wasn't really being used for anything, but it was great land, great space, about 17 meters by 14 meters. And we've designed a tropical food garden, food forest, kitchen garden, and then given the existing plants that were there, we added some edible landscaping. And we used mostly permaculture principles to design that space. Our newest project that we've started is a kitchen garden service where we're taking the idea of having a Mali who comes to your house and would take care of your plants and water your plants, and we're trying to take that further, where we employ and train up guys who've come to the city with farming knowledge from a rural background and actually give them a job to grow food in people's homes. So the idea is that instead of just having someone come and water your plants, you know, and maybe take care of them, maybe not, where you still have to be directing them as to what to do. We have our guys who are trained, they come in, and then they're in charge of planting the right crops given the season. If something's about to be all harvested, they'll have started seeds, so they'll keep a nursery going at your home. They'll be planting as needed, and they'll also be harvesting when you need to, because we know a big problem is we have people come to our workshop, they plant their basil seed, they're really happy, they have this great basil plant grow, and then they're too scared to harvest it, or they don't know what to do, and the plant dies, and they didn't really get kind of nearly close to what they could have been getting from that plant. The idea is these guys go in and they run your kitchen garden for you, but they also train you or your staff, kind of whatever level of involvement you want, or your kids. They work with you and with the family, so that they're kind of working their way out of a job. So in our mind, this is only a 2-month service. Nice. Obviously, people could continue it if they wanted, but we really like the idea of our guys training themselves out of a job by teaching you how to do it. We've started this month with 4 clients, and so with 4 clients and 1 kitchen gardener, and so we'll see how it goes, and ideally this is something we can expand and keep going. So first, we have a huge network of volunteers. So there's tons of people who are part of Fresh and Local who've contributed either by coming every day to a volunteer day and, you know, sweating and mixing soil and carrying bricks upstairs. And I mean, we have tons of people within that network. Okay. And then we also have volunteers who've come on who are more intense. They'll be responsible for projects, run their own ideas at our space. So in that sense, there's a huge network, but there's a core team of 4 of us, and so it's myself, Nanda, Ganesh, and Nicola. And Nanda and Ganesh are both social workers in Bombay. Nanda and I have been working together for 2 years, and Ganesh and Nicola, all of us have been together for about a year and a half.
Nice.
And everyone has, I guess, some farming knowledge from before, but huge farming enthusiasm, more than background knowledge. Ganesh probably is our most skilled farmer, but everyone has kind of learned a lot over the past few years, and that's one of the things we really like to share, is that none of us were great farmers or gardeners from like long back. We've all kind of learned, and we've all learned within the conditions of Mumbai.
Right.
So we haven't learned to grow from anywhere else. So right now, everyone has a either part-time or full-time job, separate from Fresh and Local.
Right.
So everyone is just really enthusiastic and doing this kind of before work, after work, and on the weekends. I'm probably the most full-time right now, and to date, what we've been able to do is we aren't in a place where our business is covering all our costs, mostly because we haven't ever wanted to run a business. So we just take on clients pretty sparingly, and we really are focusing more on our community side of things. So ideally, we're applying for funding and for grants and for some sponsorship, and ideally we'll be able to run more as a nonprofit for the next few years as we slowly develop the business side of things as well. But until recently, we hadn't really known where we wanted to take it, so we just kind of kept it where every client we took on, it was great. Everyone got, it supplemented everyone's income, but at present, we employ 2 people full-time, and that's it. And they're both helping with maintenance at 2 of the garden sites.
I see.
So we have a website, it's www.freshandlocal.org, and we also have our Facebook page. And the Facebook page is definitely the best way to keep current with updates.
I see.